Buongiorno amici. My name is Giovanna and I welcome you to my kitchen on the cliff. Today we're going to make something that in its simplicity, it is a winner and anybody could make it. My father made this and everybody has heard about it being a wonderful midnight snack. Well, I can tell you from experience, we went to a wedding once, I must have been a teenager, and we met people for the first time at our table and they were gracious and fun. So at about 11 o'clock when everybody was ready to leave, my father said, "Hey, why don't you come over to our house? We'll have some pasta aglio olio." And we did, you know, to my mother's dismay, I think, that suddenly she had a house full of people at midnight. But, you know, a great time was had by all. The ingredients couldn't be simpler. Everybody has all of these things in their house. Olive oil, garlic, peperoncino is traditional, but, you know, it's optional, obviously. And pasta, linguine, bucatini, whatever you like, or whatever you have in the house. So let's go over to the stove and I'll show you this very, very simple recipe that you could have literally any time you crave something delicious. While I wait for this water to boil, I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Babel. As you know, we're making pasta aglio olio. Wouldn't it be wonderful not only to make this dish, but also to order it at a restaurant with confidence? With Babel, you can do just that. Babel is one of the top language learning apps in the world. My daughter is using Babel to review her French, and my granddaughter is using it to keep up with her Italian.
Io provo le lasagne.
Io invece vorrei gli spaghetti con l'olio piccante.
What I love about Babel is that the lessons are designed by real language teachers, over 650 of them. I introduced and taught Italian at the Bronx High School of Science. I witnessed firsthand the enrichment value that comes from learning and speaking another language. These lessons prepare you for practical conversations about travel, business, relationships, and food, of course. It's like having a personal language coach guiding you towards real-life conversations in your target language. Oh, and speaking of real-life conversations, I remember in the 7th grade, just a few years after I came to the United States from Italy, I was reading aloud from a textbook about the Isthmus of Panama. And I pronounced loudly and clearly, "Ishmush." Well, the class had a laugh out of that. Luckily, Babel can help you avoid moments like this. If you'd like to give Babel a try using my link, you can get 60% off your Babel subscription. Let me know in the comments below what language you'd like to learn and why. Maybe you'll surprise your friends and family the next time you order at an Italian restaurant, or better yet, cook them a delicious meal like this one. Now we're at the stove and we're going to begin making our pasta. The first thing I'm going to do, the water is boiling already, and I'm going to add salt, certainly a teaspoonful of salt. Here's the salt. And now we're going to add the pasta. You know, we don't break the pasta. We wait for it to soften a little bit and then we submerge it. It only takes seconds. As soon as the pasta bends, it goes right into the water. Now, this pasta is going to cook for about 6 minutes, and then we're going to put it in the sauce that we will make during those 6 minutes. Now we're going to turn the heat on, not high, medium low. So we're going to pour about a half a cup of olive oil. I know that that sounds like a lot of olive oil, but this is the major flavoring for this dish. There's nothing else, you know. So you need olive oil because it has to coat the pasta. See, olive oil. Meanwhile, you're next to the pasta, so don't forget to stir the pasta, okay? You don't want it to stick together, and so from time to time, that's what you do. You know that I don't use a cutting board. I'm sorry. What I'm doing is cutting the garlic in both directions. So when you start chopping it, it chops. It's in very small pieces. I'm holding it together with the left hand and I'm cutting with the right hand. And you know, people like these bits of brown garlic. I mean, this is all the flavor. Now we're going to add peperoncino. A little abundant, but this is the taste. You can add very little, a lot, or none. This is easily customizable. Here's our pasta. All right, the garlic is perfectly done. So now we're going to take a little bit of the pasta water and we're going to add it. And this will create the sauce because the pasta water, I'm going to turn it off, the pasta water has starch in it from the pasta itself, and that will help emulsify the oil and will create a lovely little bit of a sauce. If you follow directions on most packages of pasta, they tell you to use a half a gallon of water for a half a pound of pasta. That's ridiculous. And of course, the pasta water is what you use if you need to thin out any kind of a sauce. For this recipe, you are using the starch of the pasta water. Don't use gallons and gallons of water. Use a quart of water to cook your spaghetti, and that way the starch will be more concentrated in the water. In this, it's very important that you have a concentration of starch. In other pastas, it's not. If you thin out sauce with heavy cream, will it taste good? Yes, it will taste delicious. Will it taste like the sauce you made? No, because it has an entirely different profile once you add the cream. So Italians do not use cream to thin out a sauce. We use the pasta water because the pasta water is hot. It has a little bit of starch which thickens whatever sauce you're going to use, and it doesn't change the flavor of the sauce. You don't throw away the pasta water until you're completely finished with your dish, so that if you need to thin out a sauce, you add a little bit of the pasta water and you don't change the flavor. I've lowered the heat on the sauce. The pasta is very much al dente. I'm not going to strain it, and the reason is that I do want some of that little bit of that water, so I'm just taking it out this way. Good to the last drop. And now I'm going to let it finish cooking right in the sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of salt at this point. You see it's already absorbed all that sauce. And what you're doing is almost as you would with the risotto. If this gets dry, right, you take a tiny bit of water, very little at a time. I'm going to put just tiny bit of pasta water, continue to mix, and continue to cook until the pasta is exactly the way you want it. One more minute, and the pasta is done to perfection. The pasta is glossy because of the oil, the mixture, and it'll be delicious. Right? This is done. This dish is kind of a test of a good cook. When my godmother, Tina Canizzaro, and her husband, Meno, came to the United States, we took them to a wonderful restaurant on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. What did Meno order? He ordered pasta, aglio, olio, because he wanted to see how Americans do it, I think. So that was the first surprise. The second surprise is, what does he take out of his pocket? Peperoncino that he brought from Sicily, because he wanted to be sure he had the proper condiment for this lovely pasta. He enjoyed that pasta. He said, this is a good restaurant, and he loved it. Okay, here we go. It's best not to have leftovers of this because you want to eat it quickly, you want to eat it hot, and you want it to be delicious. Now, many people add parsley as a garnish. This does not need a garnish. And I have never had it with parsley. If you feel like adding parsley, do so. It's fine. Make sure it's Italian flat leaf parsley. But in my experience, I have never had it with parsley on it. If you feel like putting parsley on it, do so. But this is perfect just the way it is. It doesn't need any additional embellishments. There's a little bit of sauce left over, so we add it. And let's not forget that wonderful garlic. I'm going to add a little bit more pepper, because it's pretty and because I like it. This is aglio olio. Now you know how to make it. It's a simple dish, but it is rewarding in that it is so delicious. Now I'm going to enjoy it with Howard. Buon appetito.
Buon appetito a tutti. very tasty. It doesn't take long to prepare, but it gives you a lot of satisfaction. If you come home late from the funeral or whatever, you can make it in a few minutes and you'll feel very satisfied and sleep well.
It tastes more complex than just olive oil and garlic and peperoncino. The making of the sauce, the emulsifying of the sauce just adds so much to this, and it's a wonderful dish. The recipe is in my book, Sicilian Feasts, but it's not really something that requires a recipe. There are very few ingredients that this requires. Everybody has pasta in the house, everybody has salt, everybody has garlic. And the oil is important. It should be extra virgin, first cold pressed olive oil. That's the best. Aside from that, you add as much or as little of each ingredient as you like. Quantities are not important. If you want to make it just for yourself, for lunch, you use a little bit of pasta and reduce all the other ingredients accordingly. Trust yourselves. Don't be a slave to recipes. Just trust yourself. Cook some pasta, make your sauce, serve it hot, quickly, and laugh and have fun at midnight or any time.
We hope you're already a subscriber, but in case you're not, consider doing that so we can bring you more and more delicious recipes from Italy.
Thank you for watching. Enjoy. Buon appetito. Alla prossima volta.
Arrivederci.